Welcome viewers, you're watching Malaika, the talk show for African Christian women. Thank you so much for taking the time to just join us today and be with us as we talk about the secrets to a successful marriage. So my co-host and I are quite excited about this. I mean, we're all married, so we want to hear all these secrets. Mama Audrey, are you going to give us those secrets today?
We'll see how the Lord leads.
Exactly. And we also have with us a special guest that we'll get to meet later on in the show. But before we go into much detail into what we have today, we'll take this time to hear Jackie's overview. So, Jackie, you've been married for 16 years.
Yes.
Can you please give us your secrets?
My secrets. I'll keep mine.
We should ask your husband the secret.
Exactly. I think you'll have a lot to say. You'll have a lot to say.
Yeah.
So to start my overview, a quote, it says, "The secret to a happy marriage remains a secret."
Okay, so it's a secret. It's told, it's no longer a secret.
No.
Okay.
We'll see if we can unravel the secret today.
Yeah.
Okay, so the definition. The voluntary union for life of one man to one woman to the exclusion of others. In most societies, there's an expectation of relative permanence, of a division of labor, sharing of resources, sexual relationship, and procreation. Now, I have a quote from someone, and this is what he was talking about. He says, according to his work, when he also observed that the means by which a man and woman come together to form a union for the purpose of marriage usually is procreation, which means to have children. Some thus get married just to have kids. So, in African marriages, they are affected by this, and therefore, a childless marriage many times ceases to be meaningful in this society. Research paper 2017, it said that there is not a singular form of marriage, and people enter into a marriage have not and do not do so only with birth and raising of children in mind. So you've got opposite views here. Some say yes to have children, and some say not really.
Okay.
So according to research, there was a book written in the year 2000, and it says, The Case for Marriage. And it says why married people are happier, healthier, and better off financially. And research showed that, I won't give you all the figures, they're quite a mouthful. But it says, research almost universally showed that married people are happier than non-married people, than divorced people, and widowed people.
Okay.
This was in the year 2000. Now,
Things have changed.
fast forward now, 2018, a research claimed that marriages get less happy with time.
Yeah.
The plot changed.
The plot
One of the reasons, plot does thicken, doesn't it? It's very thick. One of the reasons now, time spent with a spouse. So there was a study done in America. Firstly, Americans without children. So they spent time alone with their spouse. It was 35 hours a week. It went down to 26 hours. And this is from 1975 all the way to 2003. So it's been declining.
Okay.
And this reason is mainly because of the increase in hours spent at work. And the decline even more so with those with children that have children at home. It's from 13 hours all the way down to 9 hours per week. So let's go to Africa now. Africans themselves have put it that through their marriages, their families and clans are also united in the marriage. So that what is done to one of their members is done to all of them. So it's not just the two of them.
Just like the law, if you break one, you break everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's families and the clan.
That is a lot to take in.
And there's actually a few conferences around the world about marriage, even specifically African marriage. So it was very interesting for me to read about that. And one little thing I quote was about African pastors. And this is what it says, a pastor in Ghana It says marriage is not a private institution, but one with both spiritual and public dimensions. So the appearance of a good marriage was an indication of the pastor's legitimacy and can be seen as achieving high status, power, and wealth. Probably how beautiful she is, hey, or how educated she is.
Outside.
Yeah, exactly. You look on the outside. So some pressures that affect marriage. I'll briefly speak about this. Also about a conference held about marriage in 2018 in Kenya. It said the pressures that affect marriage, I've got 3 here. Economic uncertainties. You have the weakening of social bonds and rapid modernization. Another researcher claimed that modern marriages are falling apart due to social ills, violence, drug abuse, alcoholism, and definitely social media. That's a big one.
Sure.
Okay. A few statistics now. Divorce in South Africa is very high. 45% of divorce happen within the 10 years. So within 5 and around 10 years, that's when it happens. 20% happen between 10 and 14 years. More than half of all failed marriages are with people who have children that are under 10. To end. Unicorns are mystical creatures of the imagination. Are happy, successful marriages of the same category?
Unicorns.
Unicorn, are they the same? And also, is the secret of a happy marriage still a secret?
I think it still is. That's why we're actually talking about it today. You know what I mean?
We need to find out.
In Africa, there's a term that says umendo awuthunyelwa gondwane, which means in a marriage, you can't send a rat to go and see first what it's going to be like and then decide if you're going to go in there or not. So if we could send a rat, I'm sure it would tell us all the secrets.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we don't know, you know. So in Africa, and in Southern Africa, this is where we're looking at now, also talking to Christians. What are the recipes for a successful marriage that are being cooked up there?
I think there's no recipes as such, but what I will relate is what is really happening on the ground in Southern Africa where marriages are concerned. It's a real concern because we're talking about Christian homes here. We're not even talking about the world. And what is happening in Christian homes is it's as worldly as the world is. And it's really sad because from what I observe is that a lot of Christians, all Africans are Christians, by the way.
Yes.
If you ask any African, are you a Christian, they'll say yes.
Yes.
And I think there is our biggest problem because we say we are Christian, we get married before a pastor, always in a church, we sing the songs, do everything biblically right.
I do.
But
Yes.
do we live Christian lives? How do we resolve conflict at home? How do we handle our finances? Because that's how it shows what we really are. And from what I've seen, when we're now looking at the key aspects like finances, the woman is told by her friends and even some sisters in the church that you must always have a separate
secret account.
have a secret account
Stash.
for in case of a rainy day. So you go into marriage already expecting a rainy day. So you are already in self-defense mode. So this is in our finances. And also sometimes a lot of Christians, when now there's a struggle, you marry a man, he's working, then he loses his job. That's the end of the marriage because security was the purpose of the marriage. So when now there's no finances, for better, for worse, rich or poor,
Forget it.
No.
it's not there anymore. If I can't get my security, I'm out.
Yeah.
And these are the key things. You look at it, even in-laws. I think it's a big story as well. As Christian couples, how do we handle the in-laws? How much does my mother-in-law have to say in my life, in my wife's life, in my children's life? And because of our culture, obviously the in-laws have a lot to say and they bring in pressure into the marriage, which is already on a bad foundation,
Fragile.
if I may say. It's fragile. And then we look at children. How do we raise children? Sometimes there isn't even a discussion about children because there's lack of communication between couples. You actually, from what I see, a lot of people are married but living as individuals. So she does her own thing. She's got her own friends. She's got her own life. He's got his own life. And the kids are somewhere in between. And because women are now professionals and they've got their own money, they're independent, so you find that actually the home is the last place where they are investing, because she's trying to make herself as comfortable as possible. So for the Christian,
she's running a race.
It's a real, it's a sad state of affairs, because there's no two shall become one. That's a mystery.
Because the two shall remains two.
Exactly. You actually see two individuals living their own lives and trying to make something work. So this is the dynamics of what we're dealing with. Are we Christians or Africans?
I mean, Mama Audrey, we see now from what Auntie Zods is saying that it seems like marriage, the success of marriage actually has just been watered down in so many ways, and this is in the Christian circles. So we would like to bring it back to basics as for Christians. What was the intention of marriage as God created in the beginning?
I think that God had a great plan, because he said it's not good for the man to be alone. And to be able to have a friend, to have a helper, to have somebody to share his life with, not to be all by himself.
Yes.
But again, if marriage can only work when we are three, when Jesus is on board.
Okay.
Because it's impossible, or let's say it's very hard, to think that a man and a woman can stay together if God is not in the middle to work, to change, to temperate, to help us adapt, change, accept our husbands. It's a work in progress. It never stops, because obviously most of the couples I know are different.
Yes.
It's incredible, as if, you know, the two different poles attract one another.
Like magnets.
Yes.
It's like magnets, but they are so different.
Yes.
And there are so many problems that have cropped in, like Auntie Zols was saying, like the conception of marriage to begin with.
Yes.
For many, it's a family affair.
Yes.
It's a way to unite two families. It's maybe looking for financial security. It's maybe looking for running away from home where there's violence. So the whole purpose of marriage
It's been misguided now.
is out of line to begin with. So it's got very little chance to work.
Survival.
When we look at the plan of God, the Lord said very clearly, you know, man, when he finds that woman, he shall leave his mother, he shall leave his father, he shall cling to her, and they will become one. And the next verse says that both were naked in the garden and they were not ashamed. It speaks of a very special relationship, because you don't want to be naked with the next door neighbor or with anybody or in front of your family or whatever. It's a very special relationship already there that's set.
Yes, exactly.
It's a unique relationship between a man and a woman who are unashamed of being together, but who love one another, who are going to walk together. And unfortunately, if that walk is without the Lord and not founded on the Bible and not the Lord in it to change us, to confront us, to show us where we're missing it, to help us to accept our husband, our wives the way they are, and not trying to change them forever, which is normally the job we are trying to do forever. So I believe that the plan of the Lord is wonderful.
Okay.
But unfortunately, if we don't take marriage with the heart of the Lord and the way the Lord has planned it, it's going to be a failure.
Exactly.
And I think we can take this opportunity to hear from our special guest. Her name is Stella Mutsaka, all the way from Harare, Zimbabwe, and she's a Christian counselor. Stella, thank you so much that you took this time to join us on the program today.
Thank you, Rose. Thank you for having me.
Stella, we've heard so many aspects, you know, that Zodwa has mentioned, and also Mama Audrey has touched on them. But to hear from you as a counselor, you speak to so many people. What are the most common areas that people bring when they need counsel that stop or hinder somewhat of a successful marriage?
What I found is generally is the communication is the major problem. Most couples, either they don't talk, they actually don't communicate, or maybe the way they speak to each other is what actually causes problems, because they are not equipped with the proper conflict resolution skills. And I find that it's mainly in the major areas of things like finances, sex in marriage, in-laws, the interference when it comes to in-laws. And then the other smaller areas like children, They also fight about the children, how we raise the kids. They will have problems in the area of time and leisure, how you use your time. These days with the social media, some people might think they're together, they're communicating, but just a one-word exchange because somebody is on the phone or doing something else, social media. And then the last area will also be the roles. Who does what? The jobs in the home, because everybody is going to work these days. The woman is also going to work, the husband is going to work, so who does what? They fight a lot in those areas. So those are some of the areas that I would say cause problems.
And so, Mama Audrey, we heard from Stella mention quite a lot of things that rise up that cause issues within marriage. But first, we would like to ask you, I think, the basics, I would say, the roles in the home. She touched on that. How do couples decide on that?
I think that the main issue is the lack of, each situation is different.
Okay.
Because in some cases the husband works, the wife doesn't. In some cases the wife works and the husband doesn't. Everything is very different. Okay. I know, for instance, a couple that were sharing with us lately, the husband has got a little anxiety problem.
Okay.
And it's been very important that there is no load on him because of his anxiety problem.
Okay.
So in that case, obviously the wife steps in and she takes the load where she can help and she's a support to him. So every situation is different. Once we understand the purpose and the heart of God in marriage, things can work out. There is no such set things. The dishes is the wife, the car, the husband washes the car. There is no such thing. It is, we work as a team.
Okay.
It's a matter of the time we have, the ability we have, the things we can manage, we can do. I can't do, you do. I can't do, she does.
Okay.
I think there is no such thing. The basic, obviously, is normally the wife is the one who takes care of the house. The man is the bread provider.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work like that in most of situations.
Okay.
So if in a situation the man is not the bread provider and she goes to work from 7 to 7, he must step in and help in the household chores and help in the kids and help where he can so that both are well, and when the wife comes in home, they can spend time together. But if the husband leaves everything and waits for her to come back, when does he see his wife?
Exactly.
When do the kids see their mother?
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't work. So there is no such thing as roles today because everything is so different. But I think it's a teamwork, it's an agreement between the couple as things work together, the best for the family.
Okay.
Exactly.
So as you mentioned that there's, we're talking about roles in here and there's no this one does that, this one does that, the wife can work and the other one cannot work. Let's talk about finances, where the salary now comes from. Can we say there's two salaries, yours will pay rent, mine will pay the school fees, then whatever I'm left with, I'll do whatever I want. I mean, it also goes to address the issue of
the secret account.
A secret account, So now what happens in the issue of finances there is as the roles also come in?
Once again, if we understand that the Lord said the two will become one.
Okay.
We are one.
So the best is to have one account. Is that what you're saying, Mama?
I mean, I think it's the best. Whatever it's one account or two accounts, we must sit down and work the finances together. Now, I remember when I got married, when we at the early age of our marriage, early years, Mickey never touched the finances. I was the one making the budget. Of course, him knowing everything I was doing, but he couldn't care less about the budget. It was not his problem.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, I was planning and making sure that the money we have, we were spending it, that we would pay electricity, that we would pay this, before we knew the Lord, and let me be very clear. But when Mickey came to the Lord and he took his responsibility, gradually, I never had to worry about that. He took his responsibility, even though he had we didn't have any regular income, but he took the responsibility of the finances, and I fitted in where I could.
Okay.
So again, it's a team, it's a family. Whatever we do, like when we do the finances, in the giving,
Exactly.
we must be one. You know, it's so sad to see the husband wants to give, the wife is putting brakes. The wife wants to give, the husband is putting brakes. He wants to save, she wants to give. That is not the plan of God.
Yeah.
We must come together and see what's the heart of the Lord in everything we do, and we agree and we move. And if there's something I'm not so sure, I'm not agreeing, the Lord will work in my heart.
Okay.
It's not automatic as well, you know.
Yes.
Okay, we move that. Yes.
Yes.
No, it will demand a work of the Lord in the heart of the husband or the wife, but the aim is to get to a place where we're united in everything we do. We are one as the Lord sees us.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you see the unity is the key
Unity
here.
is the
And
key.
Tizola, I see you itching to say something there. What do you have to add? Yeah.
No, as she was talking, I
Yeah.
just remembered a Christian couple who had done, it's a 50-50, where she does these bills, he does these bills. And then he was running a very successful business. She had a good job. Then his business started struggling. And meantime, she was doing okay. And what she did was she said, okay, I still continue with my list. I'm okay. You've got to find a way to sort out your side. So you have a couple living together. One is stressed financially. The other one has extra to even take herself out.
And,
So
and
it's-
who is paying for it? The poor children.
You see, so it's that the two shall be one, as for many of the Christian couples. It doesn't apply.
And that is the biggest, I believe, the biggest weapon of the enemy.
Exactly.
The biggest strategy of the enemy is to divide the
Exactly.
couple when it comes to raising the children. I always have this image of a couple, you know, arguing and the child going in between the two, escaping.
Yeah.
There's no unity. And when the couples are together, the child can't move through.
Exactly.
In every decision, they must be together. So it is so important that we agree as a couple on things, that we allow our kids, that we don't allow our kids, that is right, what is wrong, what is okay, because we can't discipline the child on everything.
Exactly.
But Mama, as you're talking about children there, here we're talking about the husband and the wife, that recipe for a successful marriage.
Yeah, but again, united in that.
In the children, but
Everything.
as well now, there's the extreme where the children come in and then they neglect their own personal relationship. So it's put in the back burner and all
Yes,
focus is
yes.
put on the children.
Like,
what
let's
advice
say,
can be given
Dad
there?
has got his son. Now that becomes the beginning
that's
and
it.
the
Yes,
end of the
exactly.
world.
What can be
Dad
said
has
in
got
a
the
situation
son.
like
Yes.
that?
And now the special relationship is between the son and, the dad.
father.
Yes.
Or between the daughter and the dad. This is very unhealthy. This is very unhealthy because, first of all, it creates lots of hurts in the heart of the other children.
Okay.
And it removes the whole aim of God, of the unity of the parent.
Okay.
It becomes another couple in the house.
Yes.
The child must remain the child, and the mother must be the most important person in the life of the husband.
Okay.
That is the heart of the Lord, that's the plan of the Lord, and the husband, the most important part in the life of the wife. And together as a team,
Exactly.
they raise these children in unity and in love, and the children feel they are one.
Okay.
Yes.
Again, we're speaking
Yes,
about
the
this
oneness.
oneness.
Yes.
That is where God wants to take every couple.
Okay.
That is where He wants to take us as a couple, for us to serve Him, and then we can serve the Lord.
Exactly.
Okay.
How can we possibly even think of serving the Lord if that's not the case?
Exactly. That's very clear, Mama Audrey. But in closing, maybe you can just touch on what Stella actually even mentioned, that there's also in-laws that come in there and that affects that relationship between men and women. So if you can close for us and put that in your final word, what is the place of the in-laws in that successful marriage?
I think the key in all this is the unity among the couple. Maybe the raising of children, maybe the in-laws. The in-laws can be a blessing, they can be a support, but they must know their limit. And the couple should know that they should not allow anything to come and interfere and break that unity.
Okay.
Because here we are with the secret of a successful marriage.
Exactly.
That unity, that's the basis. But unfortunately, it's not a button that we press on. That needs a work of the Lord to bring us to a place where we can love each other the way the Lord wants us to love each other, to adapt to each other, and we come back to the gospel of the cross, where that message needs to work in our heart, we need to be broken, we need the Lord to work in us, because we cannot just adapt like this. It needs a work of the Lord for us to be able to become friends, love one another, team up together, protect that couple, protect that unit
Yes.
against anything and be united, maybe the raising of children, the in-laws, the outlaws, the neighbors, the culture.
Yes.
Nothing should come in between that unity
Okay.
to disturb that relationship and to disturb that unity. Then we are on the road to success.
Amen.
I believe.
Wonderful. Mama Audrey, that was brilliant, and we appreciate the input that you've brought for us today, and I'm sure the viewers out there as well have taken some of those pearls for their own marriages and those that are soon to get married. And so thank you, Auntie Zots, thank you, Jackie, and we thank our guests as well for taking the time to be with us. And so, viewers, we've come to the end of our show. We've heard so many things, that unity. Imbumba, that's what they call it actually in our language. I know you understand what I'm talking about. Keep that unity. That's what the Lord desires of our lives. We are not following culture or tradition, but the word of the Lord. And so thank you for taking the time to stay and hear what we had to say today. Continue to write to us. There are links at the bottom of the screen, Facebook and YouTube. We love to hear from you. So God bless and goodbye. Thank you so much for joining us on the program today. We were very happy to have you, and we've got lots more interesting topics to discuss on Malaika. But to stay up to date, you need to subscribe. As on the bottom of the screen, just click that button, to stop me from talking. Click it and see you soon.